You are sitting in a space that was originally created as the beating heart of the most extreme communist propaganda in Europe, and you were never supposed to come here. At that time, together with other 2.2 million Albanians, I was told to never come to you, never shake hands with you, never speak to you, and if you dared come here, to kill you. But times changed and we changed along with them, as this city changed and this space did too. So here you are, and thank you to all of you and all of those who preceded you, and to the founding fathers of your united family of free people first and foremost, for having been an inspiration for our painful change all the way. Since when, for the first time in our history, we could choose freely the side we wanted to be, your union side. But believe me, it was not easy at all. What you are about to watch for a few minutes was our endless life without you. Tirana was the most isolated capital of Europe. Once an old little town, it became Albania's capital city in 1917, 5 years after our nation declared its independence from the Ottoman Empire. The first attempt at planning Tirana's future followed the arrival of a Prussian prince named Wied, whose wife was Princess Marie of Netherlands, and of whom it is remembered the name the hideous French press gave him, Prince de Wied. He was picked by the European great powers to calm down the independent Albanians, but couldn't last longer than 6 months. The real planning took off when the Albanian king, a smart guy with no royal blood who started his public career as interior minister, commissioned it to the Italians. Later on, a famous Soviet writer who passed by, Ilya Ehrenburg, wrote, "I've seen cities without boulevards, but in Tirana, I saw for the first time a boulevard without a city." After World War II, Albania fell under the most ruthless communist regime of the entire Soviet Empire. Enver Hoxha, the Albanian dictator, was an ultra-Orthodox Stalinist who came to power thanks to the support of the Yugoslav communists. Nevertheless, he quickly denounced as treacherous the non-alignment policy of the neighborly communist Yugoslavia and strengthened the ties with Kremlin. After the death of Stalin, he condemned as high treason the new course of the so-called peaceful coexistence with the West, launched by the new Kremlin Tsar, Nikita Khrushchev, and severed ties with Moscow. Albania pledged eternal loyalty to Stalinism and walked out of the Warsaw Treaty, becoming the only country to fight both the American imperialism and the Soviet social imperialism. To him, Enver Hoxha, you were just the mad dogs of one or the other. The Albanian 1960s and 70s were marked by the devastating influence of communist China's Cultural Revolution. At that horrific time, Albania experienced two shocking waves. The banishment of God made Albania the only constitutionally enshrined atheist republic in the world. Thousands of churches and mosques were ravaged and razed to the ground. Hundreds of thousands of religious artworks and books were burned in the streets. All the clergy was arrested, killed, and jailed for life. The second shock that followed was the ban of the world 20th century art and culture. All the music, visual arts, literature, and movies deemed as degenerate modernism were forbidden, and all the rest was filtered through the lens of the so-called Marxist-Leninist critique, from Odyssey to Lenin himself, whose book What is to be Done was also barred. Architecture made no exception. No private property or private cars were allowed, not even free movement within the country. Everyone's workplace was decided by the state, which controlled demographics as everything else with an iron fist. The fall of communism propelled Tirana to the other extreme of the pendulum. Faced with a massive and rapid demographic change, the capital saw hundreds of thousands of people flocking in and settling in the large agricultural fields surrounding the city. The 1990s were defined by a devastating number of people squatting free land from the center to all the surrounding outskirts of the capital. Tirana lost all its parks and green areas. Heaps of trees were cut, and illegal buildings mushroomed everywhere, day and night, year after year. In 2000, when I was elected mayor, the city had a budget of 0 point something for capital investments. There were literally only 78 lamps still working in the public lighting network of Tirana, and energy cuts were dominant for years. Collection of municipal taxes amounted to a mere 4%. No other capital city in Europe had to start off from beneath the scratch, like Tirana did. No other city in Europe had to experience the amount of illegal building demolitions Tirana witnessed. More than 10,000 1- to 8-story edifices had to go, to leave room for a massive reconstruction of infrastructure and a large replanting of trees. The pyramids, once the pompous symbol of the dictatorship, turned into an abandoned monument, a hideous symbol of all the urban ugliness we grew in. Today, this building is reborn to serve the hopes and dreams of the Albanian youth, while Tirana is working hard every day to become the place to be. And here we are, together. I hope you understand a little bit better now why we love you unconditionally. We learn step by step that you are far from being perfect, but we know better than everyone else that you are the best company one can get in this world. And trust me, we'll convince you that we are the best friends you can get all the way. I hope it was not boring, and enjoy this day in the most Euro-optimist country of Europe. This is not propaganda. It is the EU barometer that says it every year and again. Welcome to Albania, the new Europe of the Balkans, dear friends.